Hello, here's K2EFG here. We're gonna today learn how to construct and pre-align an MFJ 1699S antenna. It's a short antenna. You can see it installed behind me on the car. It is a very versatile antenna which has a manual tuning component to it and doesn't require any tuner. I use it in the car for HF and at times as needed races operation. Let's see how we do that. So the 1699S, the MFJ 1699S come with two components. The variable portion part you can see has holes in the bottom, and the top is manually tuned whip. And the instructions say to measure 44.75 inches for 40 meters. I'm going to assume 40 meters is about 7.250 or 7.200, and this is how I'm going to manage that to see how to best manually tune the antenna and then mark it appropriately so I don't have to guess next time the measurements in real time. As you can see, I lined up the antenna next to a tape ending in 44.75, give or take. Notice that the number of holes I plug in is, the first hole is plugged in at the bottom, and I'm shorting it to the length at the second hole. That's what the instructions say, and this is how I put it on 40 meters. Now let's see if this works by using antenna analyzer. So the antenna is installed on the provided magnetic base. Notice that the car, of course, is going to be the ground for this situation. This is what a magnetic antenna needs, a significant amount of ground in the body of the car. And now let's take a look at the measurements that are coming in. Notice that at 7.26, I'm going to get a very low SWR. It's about 1.2. Changing the frequency up a little bit to all the way up to the top of the band. I'm still getting a reasonable read, and as such the antenna is tuned manually. The next step is going to be marking it so I can use it again for future uses. To accomplish the measurement, what I did is I marked the hole where this has to happen in. To accomplish the measurement, I started always from the base of the antenna, and I marked the hole as 40 meter here, but then I marked the actual length of the whip here, like so. So if you can see, 40 meter ends here and goes all the way to the base. So that gives me a physical measurement of how long the whip has to be in order to establish how to tune it manually. Next, I'm going to tune the antenna for 30 meters, 18 megahertz. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in on the third hole, and I'm going to then measure it to 44.75 inches for the entire length of the whip plus the base. 44.25 inches for the entire length of the antenna, and we'll do this as so. Next, we are going to tune the antenna to 30 meters. 30 meter settings require 44.25 inches total length, and the third hole 1, 2. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3 to be shorted, and finally here's the edge of the antenna meeting the end of the tape. We are using this hex key that is provided with the antenna, and I would recommend to use that. It is applied to this point here in order to secure and release the very end of the whip to adjust the length. So now we are at 44 1/4, and we are ready to try to see how 30 meters 10 megahertz band will work. And here we are measuring roughly the middle of the band, a little high in the band, 10.113 megahertz. The upper bound of the band is 10.150. Of course, this is only CW, so it's not really effective for me to even mark this because I'm not going to use CW from the car. I use this as a mobile device. But just the same, here you are. This is how we're going to set that. I'm going to proceed with setting it for 20 and 17 meters, my other favorite bands to work mobile with. So here we are. This is the edge of 42.75, 42 3/4 inches. Here is a demonstration of the hex key where it needs to secure or release the whip antenna. And here we are, the entire length. And of course for 20 meters, the fourth hole, this being the first, second, 3 and 4 right here, is going to be where we bridge the electric bridge, and now it's ready for 20 meters. So here is 20 meters. I'm not getting as good a response as I would like. The SWR is around 1.7. And also the settings that were provided to me with the antenna are incorrect. I will provide the correct setting very shortly. So you'll see the correct setting for 20 meters. So the correct setting, as it turns out, is also 44.75 inches with the fourth hole installed. And here you are. This is the whip. The total whip is 44. Total antenna is 44.75. The instructions I downloaded from the internet said 42.75. That's clearly a typo from MFJ. And the SWR is reasonable. It's about 1.7 on 20 meters. Next, I will remark the antenna and length, and this is how I know in the future how much should be the length of the whip. So one of my favorite new bands is, of course, 17 meters, which is also 17 meters is 18 megahertz. It's a small, narrow band, so here it will make sense to align and realign the settings until they're right, because a little bit of jump and you can be above. So let's take a look at the settings. Hello. The settings call for the fifth hole, 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be connected, and we have to be at 45.75. I think I'm pretty close. Let's take a look and see how that works. After some tweaking, the 17 band is very, very good, but it's a very narrow range. It's 18.68 to 18.110. It's a very narrow range, and so the tweaking had to be done more carefully with small increments. But now that I have the manual increments, let's go check the exact range, exact length that has to be applied to this range. Okay, so as it turns out, 18 meters required a total length of 48.5 inches, not 45. Here is the edge here. One thing I also did in between is I've started to create integrity of the structural connection, and next I'm going to measure the whip part against the permanent part and see if it is, see how to mark it in a way that I don't have to realign every time I'm trying to switch bands. This concludes our demonstration of how to mark this MFJ 1699 magic wand, sometimes referred to, and how to set up the settings so they are permanently and not have to be remeasured every time. There's of course a great variety of bands all the way down to 23 centimeters, 440, 2 meters, and all the way up to 40 and even 75 meters are supposedly available on that on this antenna. The one thing I'd like to notice is that the connector is a PL259 female, which means that the base of the antenna has to be a PL259 male. It's MFJ antenna. I don't have the part number. It is rated, if I remember, for 50 miles per hour. So if you're driving with this, roughly 55 miles an hour would probably be okay. And important also to secure the antenna, to secure the cable at least in one spot so it doesn't fly away. And finally, just a word of advice: if you are portable but in the vehicle and the vehicle is stationary, one thing to do is to ground the vehicle with a cable. I've shown this in other videos, and this may be good advice also for this antenna. So we're going to try tonight in all bands, and right now it's set for 18 meters. We'll see how it goes. This is K2EFG. Hoping you are enjoying this video, and hopefully you'll be using this antenna and other antennas soon. 73.